Hey guys, seems we have gotten a new update announcement this morning, so we're going to go over that in today's video. Just so you know before we begin, this update will be landing on servers 1, 19,001, 19,002, 20,001, 29,001, 30,001, 49,001, and 49,002. I didn't actually know there was a 49,002, so that's interesting. I guess that's another test server? But 40,001 is not going to be getting this update just yet, unfortunately. But for us, this update should be landing February 16th, UTC -8, 7:15 p.m. That's when it's expected to hit. It'll probably be hitting basically around early hours, and we'll get 50 diamonds in compensation. This update includes the brand new hero Aylin. I'm guessing this is the red lady we saw, the one I assumed was probably going to be an Infernal faction. Then we have a Spectral Rift mode, so I'm interested to see what that is. 5 new mythic artifacts, and tons of bonuses for gear sets. So let's see. New hero, legendary hero Aylin. Infernal Blast, she is an AoE healer. She continuously restores HP for all allies within range for 10% of her attack every second. So basically a legendary Dolores as far as basic attack is concerned. Aria of Moon, when activated, increases healing effect by 70 to 100% and healing frequency by 100% for up to 20 seconds. So she'll be doing double the healing twice as often for 20 seconds. That's her ultimate, I assume. Lunar Haven, when Power of Moon reaches 40 down to 30 stacks at max, it extends its healing range, and allies' damage taken is reduced by 10 to 15%, so she can also reduce damage taken. I don't know how she gains these stacks though. And last off, we have Solidarity. For every ally in range, increases the healing amount by 1 to 3%, and acquires 1 to 3 additional stacks of Power Moon. So I'm guessing that's every time she heals, she gains up to 3 stacks based on how many allies are in range. So, should there be 5 allies in range, she'll be increasing her healing amount by 3%, and she'll be gaining 3 stacks. I'm guessing every time she heals. I'm guessing. I don't quite understand otherwise how she gains those extra stacks. And with her healing frequency on her ult, that will actually pop up quite quickly. So, something I'm not sure how it works. It says when Power of Moon reaches the stacks, it extends healing range and damage is taken is reduced. So, you could assume that means that these stacks are consumed to confer these benefits. But it doesn't say how long the duration is on these things. It doesn't say if it can stack. So maybe it's just permanent. The first time she hits 40 to 30 stacks, she extends her healing range and she also reduces damage taken. Maybe it stacks. Maybe there's a duration and she needs to keep getting those stacks. I'm not quite sure how that works. Overall, she seems kind of interesting. She's just a strong AoE healer that has some damage reduction on her. Honestly, it doesn't sound very good to me, unless it stacks in some way. If it stacks and you can reduce the ally damage taken beyond 15%, that's quite good. But otherwise, Eloin is surely a stronger healer, right? She'll scale off attack speed, and then if you can increase her healing frequency by 100%, that'll be even stronger. So maybe she's a lot better than she sounds, but she doesn't actually buff, right? So Dolores is still Dolores, right? You're not going to get rid of Dolores for Aylin. She doesn't buff your damage output, she just buffs her own healing, her healing range, and the ally damage reduction. She seems like she's a very good solo healer for a lot of like content where you're going to take massive amounts of damage. Maybe she could be very good in Gear Raid 2, but I fear that her damage reduction isn't enough at 15%. But being able to heal a bigger area than Eloin, I'm assuming it'll be a very big area when her healing range is extended. She could be very good in Gear Raid 2. We'll have to see what her base stats are like. If she has really good base stats, she could be insane. Off the face of it, it doesn't seem that great to me, but we'll see. There's a lot about this that isn't quite clear. So here are adjustments. Gwendolyn, she's been enhanced. Her basic attack can now be affected by speed, that's very good. The shield strength will be affected by healing effect, so this is really nice. The biggest issue with Gwendolyn is building her was so droll. You just stacked HP, nothing else mattered at all. But now you want to stack HP, you want to get some attack speed, and you want to be getting some healing effect. So it makes Gwendolyn a bit more interesting to build, so I'll be re-gearing mine at some point. And they have updated her 5th Awakening, which I'm sure will benefit the 3 people who have that. So, single target shield, they've removed the limitation on attack speed, and they've added that it scales on healing effect. They've reduced it from 20 to 15% of her max HP though, so I guess it depends on how well healing effect affects that. Icy Shell can now be affected by healing effect, and they've reduced the max shield from 90 to 80%, and now they've buffed or tweaked her Awakening 5. She gains 8% instead of 5% max HP whenever she uses her ultimate, and it stacks up to 3 times instead of 5. So obviously overall this is a tiny bit worse, but you're not really going to get it more than 3 times. So I prefer this. Stacking up to 5 times just felt kind of unnecessarily long. I still don't think it's great, but it's better. It's definitely better. Okay, stages added. The Spectral Rift. After clearing normal Chapter 6, Stage 10, the Spectral Rift of Chapter 6, Common, will be unlocked, which can be entered through the Spectral Rift portal on the map of Chapter 6, Common. Campaign stages, the difficulty of some stages has been lowered. Okay, so I still don't quite understand this. I read this morning and I couldn't really understand because they listed this as a new game mode, but this just says that you unlock it after clearing Chapter 610, but you can enter it through the Chapter 6 on the map. So it's not added into the raids. So it's not a new raid, but it is in the chapters. So is it just a new story mission, like they did with the Araka story quest they added? Or is it actually a new game mode? Because so far, everything that's content outside of the campaign you can get in the raids menu. So I'm still not really sure what this means, but it'll be interesting to see. New content is always really fun. So I'm hoping it's a bunch of new content, but we'll see how that actually looks. Now, new artifacts. This is the bone I have to pick with the patch, so I'll be ranting again, I'm afraid to say. So, I'll start off with the simple stuff, and at the end we can rant. So, they've added 5 new mythic artifacts. Eye of Sin for fighters, increases AoE damage up to 20%. After killing an enemy, it also increases it by another 10%. This is assuming max. At minimum, it's 10% and 5%, as you can see, for 3 seconds. This is going to be absolute meta on Cerberus. Cerberus is going to love this artifact because he does insane damage already. With this on top, he's going to be a monster. Super, super good for Cerberus. We have Flawless Blade, another fighter mythic artifact. When not receiving damage, increase damage by 7 to 11% every 4 to 3 seconds, stacking up to 3 times. Minus 1 stack every time you take damage. So this is not a guild boss myth artifact. You'll get no benefits from it really, which is kind of unfortunate because it means that we're still kind of capped at using Salazar's lead artifact, because I don't really think these two will benefit Zillatu or Arrogant, Wrath, or someone like those. These aren't really going to be ideal for that because you're going to be receiving damage throughout Guild Boss. So this is probably better off used on Arrogance and Zillatu outside of Guild Boss. So it depends on what the future content looks like, but I don't really know who Flawless Blade would be best on, mainly because fighters tend to take damage. It's great on the fighters who attack longer distance, such as Valkyria, Zillatu, Arrogant, Scorch, Iron. People like that would benefit from this, even Janquar. Okay, so 3rd and 4th are both Defender exclusives. So we'll go with the first one. Bloodthirst increases damage by 1% till the end of the battle when receiving damage, stacking from 15 to 25 times, so up to 25% bonus damage. I actually quite like this. I think it's cool because there are some defenders who you want to do damage, such as Captain Reeve. Captain Reeve would really like this artifact, I think. I can think of one person especially who will be enjoying using this on him. And I think it could actually be quite strong on him just to give him 25% bonus damage. Goddess's Grace, another defender one, increases defense by 10 up to 15%. And for every 10 seconds on the field, it increases defense from 3 to 5% additionally, stacking up to 3 times. So starting at 10 plus 9%, all the way up to 15 plus 15%, so 30%. So it's quite a nice big boost of defense, but there aren't many people. Azhor would use this for sure, and there is also the epic defender who scales on defense and heals. I've forgotten her name, apologies, the angel lady with a hammer. And this is the bone I have to pick with the patch, and it is actually a very, very, very big bone, so I'm going to be ranting for a little bit, and I apologize. Zealous' Manuscript, a Zealous exclusive. This is not a mage exclusive, this is a Zealous exclusive. Just so you know, this is Zealous. He is a legendary mage for the Curse faction, and the artifact affects this skill running sticks, his ultimate. His ultimate lasts 10 seconds and does continuous damage over a very big area. So, now my bone to pick with this. Let's go over exactly what this does, and you'll see hopefully why I think this is a very poor idea. So, during his ultimate, the one that lasts 10 seconds, reduces the enemy's healing received by 30 to 45%. Now, if you have reached Gear Raid 1, the later stages of 19 to 21, you will realize it is bloody hard to kill the enemies as they are being healed by a boss Eloin. So, we've all been seeking to find some way of reducing the healing received by the enemies, and there was nothing in the game. And so what the developers decided to do was to add an exclusive mythic artifact exclusively for one legendary hero. Why? Now you could only beat stages 20 to 21 if you have a Zealous. It's not cool. This is a really concerning change in my opinion, because this means that they want to go down the route further of heroes deciding everything in the game. This just further strengthens the point that gear isn't that important. This is basically going to be the gateway to clearing Gear Raid 1 stage 20 and 21, and if you don't have a Zealous, you can't do this, and if you are unable to make this artifact, you can't do it either. So, for those of you who are on servers 40,001, I would strongly suggest farming the hell out of the artifact fragment raid, saving the myth artifact shards or whatever they're called, and crafting as soon as this patch drops and trying to get hold of these new artifacts because they are very strong and they will probably become very meta, especially the Zealous' Manuscript. As soon as I get this, I'm going to be smashing Gear Raid 120, and I'm sure many other players will. It's just, I really dislike the direction. That's what I'm concerned about. Introduce new content. Now look, there's an artifact that you have to have for Salazar, otherwise you can't beat the content. And oh, you don't have Salazar? I guess you just need to open your wallet. I don't like that. I think this is a very poor decision. At most, they should have put this on an epic hero and not on Zealous, but sticking it on a legendary hero is just a very poor decision overall. I'm not fond of this. Better off, it should have been a new gear set. They should have just added a gear set, change curse or change sticks, and make that reduce the enemy's healing effect. Putting it on an exclusive artifact for a specific legendary hero is just a very poor decision. So with that long rant out of the way, there's been some gear changes. So they've added 2 new sets, which lo and behold are for Gear Raid 1, and you can only get them from stages 19 to 21. These are basically power creeping some of the existing sets. So there was the Elite Fighter set and the Elite Defender set. They've now added the Epic Fighter and Epic Defender set. So this is quite funny to me. So we had Elite Mage, which was 20% attack, and now we had Epic Fighter, which is 25% attack and 30 attack speed. But Elite Fighter was crit damage, so it feels like this should be called Epic Mage, really, not an Epic Fighter. But hey ho, it doesn't matter really. So this one grants 25% attack and 30 attack speed. That's actually really strong, very nice set, definitely get it. And Epic Defender increases HP and defense. So again, pretty nice. Better than the Elite Defender one, although they have both been buffed. So this is just slight power creeping. Now if you are using DPS heroes, we're going to want to farm Epic Fighter on pretty much all of them. And we're going to want to get Epic Defender, though it's not as important. Okay, so moving on, there's some gear adjustments. As you can see, they've kind of just boosted all the sets a bit. I think the Elite Marksman change is probably one of the biggest, honestly. As you can see, this is basically a 50% gain from 50 to 75 plus 25 is a 50% extra on what it was previously. So the Elite Marksman set's been buffed quite a bit. The rest of them, as you can see, have had a much smaller increase of around 12% or so, depending on the set. The rest of them had a change of around 12 to 20% bonus. So moving from 30 to 35, 20 to 25, etc. So they've kind of just pushed up all the sets a bit just to increase our damage output. I'm not too sure why. People weren't really having too much trouble clearing content. Gear Raid 1 was because we lacked a way to mitigate Eloin's healing. It was just too tricky to get kills down. And Gear Raid 2 is just quite hard without having the right heroes for it. So I don't really think we needed the power up here. I think the main problem at the moment is heroes are the majority of your damage over gear. I don't know if this will change it that much, but maybe it will. It'll be interesting to see. So this is just a lot of extra power-ups for us. There's no point going over them individually. You can see them here. It's just a slight notch up on every existing set, but they all do the same thing that they did before. I don't believe any of them have actually changed how they function. And here's a couple more changes. They have reduced the stamina cost of Gear Raids 11 to 15 from 25 down to 20 stamina, and 16 to 21 from 28 to 25. So this could be in response to the upset that has spread through the community over the recent stamina nerfs. I hope it isn't, because this isn't enough of a change, really. It will help to some degree, but not a great amount. This is like a 10, nearly 11% reduction in stamina cost per run, so it's not really a great deal considering how much we lost in stamina. But it's good to see that they are considering and pulling down stamina. I guess it's probably better to do things gradually, but again, I still think stamina is going to be a big problem, especially because we can't stockpile it. But it's nice to see that they're considering and reducing this, so that's a win there. And they have increased the drop rate of Ancient Myth gear. This is nice, but I think what I would like to see from the developers is I want to see them stick numbers down so that we know. I want that more. I want more transparency, especially given the history of recent events. I would like a bit more transparency on these things. Just tell us the drop rate and tell us what it was and what it is now. That would be really perfect. Otherwise, it's a win. It's nice to have a increase in Ancient Myth drops. So some good little changes there. Overall, the gear changes are pretty good. I'm still not fond of just slapping damage numbers on gear, as I've said in many videos before. Gear already gives stats. It would be kind of cool if gear sets made heroes more unique or dynamic, such as, for example, pulling in healing effect mitigation into the set rather than giving it to an exclusive hero, Zealous, as we saw up here with Zealous's manuscript. So I would prefer if they went that direction with gear, but overall these are obviously buffs to us. We're going to have to refarm some weapons because of the new Epic Fighter set, but nothing too bad. Overall, it's a win for the player base. We get a bit stronger, we get to use our stamina a bit better, and we get some more Ancient Myth gear, so that's all nice. And moving on, we have arena changes. Increased damage dealt to the base by monsters that survive until the end of the wave. Elite monsters are added to the group challenge, adjusted stats of some monsters and increased the maximum number of waves in single battle, and increased weekly rank rewards for the Overlord rank. So there you have it, pretty simple. They've just increased the damage that monsters do when you don't kill your own wave, so I think there'll be less teams making it to the end, which I think was a problem, so I think that's a good observation from the devs to fix there. Adding elite monsters, I guess, is because the group wave was too squishy, and maybe Fiona was too powerful at culling. Elite monsters mean she can't cull them. and they've adjusted some stats, which we don't know what that means, but extra waves, so interesting to see that. And extra rewards for Overlord is quite good because it is getting harder to break into Overlord now, I've found. There's notifications in Guild Channel when you get some of the legendary pulls from Guild Boss. They've optimized some shop displays, optimized filtering, they've optimized getting to the hero screen, and they've allowed you to get to the gear screen from the enhancement screen, and some other bits and bobs there. Optimized experience of some quests of Heroes Path, and they fixed an issue with shops resetting prices. So yeah, that's pretty much it for the patch. There's a few things that remain to be seen. The Gwendolyn changes were nice. I really want to see what these stage changes are. The artifacts are decent generally. The Zealous one I am not particularly happy about. And in general, I'm pretty certain these mythic artifacts are all going to be much rarer to summon than the existing ones because they keep playing silly buggers with the summon rates on those. Again, I just want some more transparency on that. The gear array changes are nice. The adjustment to stamina is a good start. And the arena changes, I think, sound pretty good, but again, I think they need to do a bit more reworking on the arena. Hopefully there'll be more tweaking on that soon. I'm mainly concerned about the direction with the Zealous artifact. I don't want to see more of this in the game, and it feels like that's where we're going to be going. Yeah, I'm not keen on that, but otherwise, seems like a solid start. Was hoping for a bit more content, but we need to see what that stage actually is, the Spectral Rift. So, I'll make a video whenever that comes out. Thank you very much for watching, guys. Take care. Bye-bye.